This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today.
Hey, what's up, fellow modelers? Will here. Welcome to the Ensign's Chair. So, I know it's been a little bit since, about a month or so since I put out an update on the Big Bird, but it's taken me a little bit to get that wing. I don't know if I mentioned on the previous video, but I had a little mishap with my wife and the bird. So, I've got that wing printed back up now and the neck repaired, and we're ready to move on with this and get it finally wired up and finally put back together and ready to go on the mount. So I've made a little bit more progress on the mount as well, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But give me a minute, I'll put you on the bench, we'll get to work. Alright, so here is where I'm at. As you can see, I've got the wing removed and also the neck removed. This wasn't because I needed to remove them to do this work, but my wife broke my neck and cracked one of the wings. So I've got the replacement wing right here all printed up, ready to go, and the neck has been repaired. I thought I was got to reprint the neck and told her to redo everything, but I was able to actually repair the neck and reprint a couple of parts for it and fix it instead of reprinting the whole thing. So anyway, I figured it was best to do this while those parts were off. So as it goes, it was just easier to do this with those parts off. I should have done this step before I put those on. So if you're watching this video and you haven't gotten the wings and all that on yet, and you decided to go this method or this route similar to this, it's better to do this stuff before you put all that stuff on. It's such a big model, it's easier to maneuver it with all that stuff out of the way. So, but this is where I'm at. So I've got this piece I 3D printed, and I talked about this before, what I was going to do with this. So I've got this connector wire epoxied into this piece. I've got all my wires wired in. Now the only issue I've run into with this, and let me flip this around if I can. I had 3 more wires that go to the soundboard, and unfortunately I only had 1 pin left on this connector. So I really needed the connector with additional pins on it. This is only a 5 pin, and I would have needed something at least with 8. But it's hard to find something that would work, not be too big with that many connections, and do what I wanted to do with it. So what I've decided to do is, what I tried first was I thought maybe I could power the soundboard separately and then just use the 1 remaining pin for this yellow wire, because I figured that this black and this red are the power wires for the soundboard, and this yellow wire is probably what actually carries the sound. So if I could power the soundboard separately, I figured I could just use this 1 yellow wire, run that down, cut these wires off, and then run separate power to the board in the display base, which is where I plan to put the sound card. Well, I should have figured that the soundboard probably ran at a lower voltage, probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3.5 volts, somewhere around there, instead of 9 volts. And I could try connecting a 9-volt power source to it without thinking. And I'm pretty sure I fried it, because when I tried to reconnect it back to these connections, it would not produce sound. So a little bit of an issue, but not a big deal. What I'll do is I will use a separate sound component in the base, and I'll just have to sync the sounds to the lighting of the cannons and the torpedoes on this. So a little bit more work to do now because of that, but it's still manageable, and that's going to allow me to just go ahead and move forward with getting this wired up and sealed up and I'll do the sound later. I've got a sound card on the way, which I'll talk about when it gets here. I won't get it till next week sometime, and I'll play around with that, get it figured out, and I'll talk about it on here in case somebody wants to do that as well. But this is all done up. These are all my wires that run up through the neck, so I've got them numbered so I can reconnect them properly. And but that's where I'm at as far as that. And I've got my wires, get this unstuck, run out through here now. This will just connect. I've got some stainless steel screws. These are the size of 8s, but I need to go to the store and get longer screws because these are 3/4. I need at least 1 inch. These won't fit all the way through to where I can put the bolts on the other side. So I am going to epoxy this as well as put the screws through this. I'm not just going to depend on one or the other. I don't want to epoxy this in place and then I'm depending on that epoxy holding good and not breaking off at some point. Excuse me. But also because I've got this plate that I put in, which thickens out the hull and gives it better anchor, and I've epoxied it all the way around so it spreads out the weight more to this area rather than just that those couple of connection points. And then these pieces here will actually connect. They actually touch this metal plate. So I'll put some epoxy on that and it'll be epoxy to this metal plate at the same time. And that will additionally add strength to it. And the only reason I'm doing these screws is because, like I said, I want this to actually attach to this plate inside. So the through screws will do that. And excuse me. What I can do then is I will be able to concentrate on starting to work on that rod that I've got, the display rod, run these wires down that, and then I can focus more on getting that stand done. I've gotten a lot of the stand done at this point, but I'm just waiting until I can get to the point where I can actually put the model on the stand to actually finish it up. So that's what I'm working on this right now. I will get this finished wired up. I will tape the mask this off and this will be painted the same color as the hull, and then starting with the connecting rod, which is, hang on, let me grab the rod. Starting with my connecting rod, I will have this different color, this kind of, I talked about this when I was talking about the display stand, this kind of burnt amber color or something like that. I think it is. I gotta look at the can, but I've got to finish touching up the paint on this. I didn't quite get the paint all the way up here when I painted it, but this will basically, this piece here will epoxy into the end here, and then this will attach and this screw will screw in place. And the screw, I don't really even need this much because this is such a tight fit when I insert it. This is just going to add a little stability to it. So, and it's nice and thick. You can see the thickness on that. So I'm not too worried about that cracking and breaking and let my model fall to the ground. But so that's where I'm at. I'm working on that. Then I can, once I get this all wired up, I will start putting the whole thing back together, the neck back on, the wing back on, get it all rewired back up. I'll be back where I was, and then I'll be ready to start looking at getting it mounted on the rod and getting the final, the display finalized. So that is what I will be working on here for a little bit, and when I get to another point, I will check back in. So stay tuned. All right, so as you can see, she's finally all back together. After all the repairs I had to make on this, reprinting and remaking the wing, redoing the neck, and doing a lot of rewiring, rerunning the wires on it. I'll bring you up here a little bit so you can see the neck's back in place. But so she's all back together finally, and I am working on the final pieces of the stand. Well, maybe the final pieces of the stand. Some of you may have seen I've been posting. I actually took a crack at 3D modeling a cloaking device based on what they showed in the season of Picard. So I may print that up and add it to the display base. I don't know yet. It's a bit more work to do to it, and I've got about 45 days to Wonderfest, I think. Let's see, what is it? Today is April 10th, May 10th. Probably about 55 days to Wonderfest. So I don't know. I don't really want to get too deep into doing anything else to this and not be able to have it ready in time. So I'll take a look at it, and camera that slipped. I'll take a look at it and see if it's something I can add in and get done in time. I may do it as a separate piece, and if I've got time, either add it to it or do it as a separate model for Wonderfest. So we'll see. But she's all back together. I am working on finishing up the display stand. I just took the mounting rod out and put the final coat of paint on that. So that is ready to go. This is all wired and ready to run. I did run into one other issue though, of course. The board that controls my photon and my cannons and my engine strobe fritzed out on me. I don't know why. The model was all closed up like it is now. It was working fine. I unplugged it, plugged it back in sometime later, and then nothing was working. It was just steady on with the engine lights. The photon torpedo was steady on, and the cannons wouldn't fire. So I don't know what happened to it, but I've sent an email to Starling Tech to see if they could tell me, is it the board pretty much gone. I've went ahead and ordered another one, which I hate to do because these boards aren't cheap. But I also had a problem with the board that I was using for the small 1350 bird of prey from Tenna, and that board isn't working either. So hopefully get something worked out with that. But I've got another one on order, so I can go ahead and get this done. And I don't want to wait too long to finish this up. Like I said, not too much longer to Wonderfest. I've got a couple other things I'd like to have done for Wonderfest. So I really want to get this done. But I'm going to finish up the display stand, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. I'll finish up the display stand. When that board comes in, it'll probably be later this week. It may even be next week sometime before it comes in. I'll go ahead and get that installed, and then once I've got the display stand finalized, everything's good, it's plugged in, lit up, and pretty much done, I'll come back and I'll do what should be a final update video for this, and we'll take a final look around at it and show you how everything looks. So stay tuned, guys. Appreciate everybody for watching these videos, and thank you for your feedback and comments. And this model's come along really nice. It's been a little over a year now I've been working on this model, mostly because I haven't been home a lot, but now I'm home. Hopefully I can get more models done. But I do have the 1250 Reliant I'm working on, and after that, that's probably the last 3D print model I'm going to do for a while. I've got so many other model kits in my stash that I want to get working on and start working on those. So I do have the Defiant as a 3D print model, which I plan to do a large version of that eventually, but I do want to get some of these other models in my stash done now that I'm home and can work on them more. So anyway, guys, again, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching these videos. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Hit me up on Facebook. The link for my Facebook is down below, and you'll get some updates that I don't necessarily put out in the videos, and just watch out for those. Check it out. But anyway, guys, thank you again. Please pay my comrades in arms, Cass, over at Lake Monster Details, a visit, and Gus over at GCals. Please pay him a visit. He did send me the decals for this, which I posted pictures of. I'm not going to try to flip this over right now because it's not secured together, and it's a bit of an ordeal right now to flip this over. But he did send me the decals for this. They look great. We did some color modifications to them to try to get them a little closer to being accurate to the studio model. But appreciate Gus working with me on that. So pay both those guys a visit. The links for their pages are in the comment section below. And again, until next time, keep modeling.